Hey, kia ora everyone, it's Chris here from Bayleys. So this is our weekly roundup of what's been happening in the property market. This week we're talking granny flats and we're talking the election. But first up, location. So today, filming at 7 Sager Midgley Road in Hobsonville Point in Auckland. So standalone sensation, 3 en-suites. It's got 4 beds, 4 baths on 330 square metres. It's got a huge 289 square metre floor plan. Perfect for extended families or work from home. It's located right in the heart of the popular Hobsonville Point community. This property is for sale right now, so contact Cherry Kingsley Smith from Bayleys Northwest if you want to learn more. Just a beautiful property, so well worth checking out. So kicking off into our weekly news. So typically around this time of month, we'd be talking the Real Estate Institute's housing market stats. They release a little bit later in January, so we'll be picking those up next week. What we do, however, have is 2 interesting pieces of news. First is the government's granny flat legislation has just come into effect. So this allows you to build an up to 70 square metre small dwelling on your property without necessarily needing building consent or resource consent. Keep in mind though that there are some requirements around it. So well worth checking with your council before you do anything, just in case you do kick off or a need for building consent or resource consent. The other big piece of news this week is that the government announced that the general election will be held on the 7th of November. This always kicks off a bit of banter in the market about how much of an impact it might have on transaction levels. You know, buyers and sellers may be behaving a little bit differently. We're doing a little bit of work in the background, which we'll talk about next week. First results though, just sort of hot off the press, is that in 2023 there wasn't really any impact at all. 2020 the market actually had higher levels of transactions around the election, but at the same time we also had that COVID boost coming through in terms of lower interest rates. 2017 was a bit lower, so a real mixed bag, but we'll talk about that more next week in detail. Next up, we've got our weekly sales snapshot, and so this week we're talking recent auction sales. The theme is first and last, so we've got the last auction from 2025 and we've got the first auction from 2026. And so last auction for us in 2025 was 19 Stratford Place in Otumoetai in Tauranga. So enticingly edgy overlooking estuary, 3 beds, 2 baths on 850 square metres, easy living over 3 levels in a quiet cul-de-sac location. This was marketed by Carmen Dickinson and Cheryl Todd from Bayleys Tauranga, sold under the hammer at auction for 1.05 million. We've also got our first auction for 2026, so this was 15 Kopi Place in Massey in Auckland. So deceased estate must be sold, 3 beds, 1 bath on 600 square metres. Good bones, practical layout, well suited to the flipper, first home buyer, renovator or investor. This was sold as is, where is. It was marketed by Celeste Rutherford from Bayleys Northwest, sold under the hammer at auction for 693,500. So off to a good start with 100% clearance rate on that first auction. Next up, we're getting into our international news for the week. And so interesting video out of CNBC talking about the housing market in the United States. And so basically what they reported was that it's going through a bit of a slowdown at the moment, basically off the back of rising unemployment and cost of living issues. And so agents over there reporting that a lot of vendors had reduced their price expectations at the back end of 2025 or delisted their properties, sort of put it on market at a future date. Finally, to wrap up, right, we've got the property of the week. And so this week we've got 2 properties. So we've got 56 Grandview Road in Matheson Bay, just north of Auckland. So irreplaceable elevated waterfront views, 3 beds, 1 bath on 918 square metres. So rare beachfront opportunity in Matheson Bay with stunning sea views. First time on the market in 40 years, well suited to be renovated. If you want to learn more about this one, contact friend of the channel, Ginny Gooch from Bayleys Warkworth. And then finally, we've got this property right here. So we've got 7 Sager Midgley Road in Hobsonville Point in Auckland. So standalone sensation, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths on 330 square metres. It's got a huge 289 square metre floor plan. Perfect for that extended family and work from home. It's located right in the heart of the popular Hobsonville Point community. So if you want to learn more about this one, contact Cherry Kingsley Smith from Bayleys Northwest. With that said, we'll wrap this video up right here. So big thanks to the vendor and Cherry for hosting me today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Ciao.